find some sort of harmony and balance.
Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? BC here again. Welcome to another episode. Today I wanted to talk about empathy in life and sales and communication, and really what it is, how to demonstrate it more, and really how to incorporate this more in your life, because it does require a bit of emotional and mental maturity, but it's an understanding that for you to evolve as a human being, have more fulfillment, be happier, socialize better with people, just have a better existence on this planet, it's important that you understand what it is, how to demonstrate it, and really, I call it like a life skill, right? So let's talk about it a little bit. Empathy, right? Well, empathy in a short sense, right? Like when I think about it from a sales standpoint or when I interact with people, is being able to understand their position, put yourself in their shoes, and tune in with how they're feeling and relate to that, right? It's like a relation. That would be one word in my eyes of kind of summarizing it. And again, maybe my little slight deviation in my description could be slightly opinion, but we know what it is, right? Like empathy is something that a lot of people either don't acknowledge, are unable to understand, and really never reach a level where they can tap into it, because the world is reactionary. The world is very on the agenda of pushing that it's all about you and it doesn't matter, and basically people don't know how to relate to each other. Like, listen to the average conversation nowadays. There isn't much empathy. Very few people can actually demonstrate it. It's just one person complaining, the other person waiting for that person to finish to then get their complaint out, and it becomes like this stacking game where no one's really relating to the other person. So even from a, we can say, physiological standpoint, if someone lets out a big sigh and you let out a sigh, right? That is building rapport, that is being empathetic with them, that's putting yourself in their shoes. So let me give you an example of how you can start kind of tapping into this and at least becoming aware of it and understanding it. One would be this. I, and many people who are in sales and real estate, you're going to be talking to people every single day, going door to door, dealing with clients, making phone calls, right? Doing all these things where you're going to be interacting with other human beings. And in many cases, their emotional state is not peak positive. It's more angry, frustrated, nervous, upset, sad. And for you to be empathetic, you have to effectively be able to understand their position. So when I call in real estate an expired listing and they're upset, I can already empathize with their anger because, dude, you should be angry. Your home didn't sell. That's not supposed to happen. So it's easy for me to, again, step into a different realm, level up, and I don't take it personal anymore. I look at their emotional state and can relate to it and understand, because rightfully so, they should be upset. And that's why my dialogues and everything that I do with them are indicative of, I understand. It's like, dude, you have every right to be upset, Mr. Seller. I would be too, right? You know, if I'm in your position, shit, I'm more upset than you. You have every right to be. Now, when these dialogues are had, we have a back and forth, and they can, not only from a dialogue perspective, but from, again, a subconscious perspective, meaning my tone, how I'm relating to them, they start to pick up on it. In this sales example that I'm giving you, it moves the conversation forward. It doesn't create resistance. It allows them to acknowledge that, hey, here's a human being who's listening to me and actually can relate to what I'm saying. This is why a lot of times when people are looking for help, even on a logical level, they feel like the only people qualified to help them are the people who have been exactly what they've been through. Right? Now, in some cases, that's not a requirement, we can say, for that person to get help from that particular individual that they're making this assessment on. But generally speaking, that sentiment comes from a place of what I just explained for the last 4 minutes, which is I want to talk to somebody or get help from somebody who understands my perspective, who can relate to me. That's where it comes from. Right? So when people make that assumption and make that request that, hey, I only want to work with somebody or learn from somebody, or, you know, fill in the blank with somebody who's been through what I've been through or who understands and has walked in my shoes, that's what they're referring to, is that they want somebody who can genuinely empathize with their situation and what they're going through. Why? In their mind, they're saying, hey, they've walked my path. They've been in my shoes. They get it. They get it. So What you need to understand here is, number one, this requires your evolution as a human being. Meaning, for you to be able to effectively empathize with other people, you need to get out of your own head. You need to get past feeling nervous or flustered in social situations. You need to get past pushing your agenda. You need to get past taking things personally. You need to understand that when you communicate, it's all about the other party. And I want to make it seem like, if we're going to create a visual, that when we're talking and interacting, I'm standing next to them, not in front of them or across from them. Because that implies we're friends, we're having a good time, we understand, we're relating to each other, everything is all good. Because the emotion or emotions that this kind of evokes in people is comfort, relatability, right? Ease, happiness, a sense of connection, right? Some of these aren't emotions, we can say, but that's what I'm going for here, because that opens up the gateway to selling, communicating, building a relationship, friendship, or whatever it is. And we have to get over our own bullshit to start to really genuinely empathize with people, right? So what I'd recommend is this, right? If you're starting out on this and maybe it's not easy for you, put yourself in the position where you say, okay, for me to feel what this person is feeling, what would I have to do? Okay, this person's home didn't sell. Let me imagine me going through a situation where I don't sell my home. How would I feel? And you start to fill in those blanks and run those scenarios for yourself. And when you start to do that, and you genuinely take that perspective and you do this exercise, you'll start to be able to recreate and evoke some of these emotions and thought processes that other people have. Now, when you do this, not only is it easy for you to relate, it becomes predictable how they respond. You know exactly what emotions that they're feeling, and it becomes easier for you to guide the conversation or help them find a solution, or you bridge that gap. Why? You understand where they're coming from, and you've put yourself in that position. So even though we haven't technically been in that position, by you doing these exercises, and this exercise in particular, it's easier for you to come up with these solutions and kind of mastermind this thing, because you're, again, genuinely putting yourself there. You haven't in reality gone through it, but mentally, visually, with your imagination, you're putting yourself through that and say, what if I was there? How would I respond? Right? Now, when you do that, it becomes easier for you by default to detach, meaning I'm not going to take what they say personally, because this is the biggest issue when it comes to empathy, is now when this person projects an emotion on you, whether positive or negative, you take it personal. You take it personal. And when you do that, you're missing something. Number one, you're still kind of rookie when it comes to communication and personal development, which is fine, right? We've all been there. But number two, you cannot effectively connect with them and empathize with them or get on their level, because you're still self-conscious. You're focused on you and how this is affecting you, instead of listening to them, right? Understanding their position, talking to them, really listening, and being there and present. You're in your own head instead of being there and present or focused on them. All your attention is internal instead of external, right? And that's a switch that needs to go off. But a lot of that comes from experience. Yes, knowing these understandings, but putting yourself in those positions and in a wide variety of situations where you have to empathize with people on a broad spectrum of emotions. Right? And I've done that, right? Those of you who are in sales, by force, you're going to have to do that. Deal with people who are happy, sad, mad, angry, depressed, and everything in between. It's almost like we turn into therapists in a way, right? It's crazy. So get on this journey a little bit, right? Evolve your communication, evolve your mindset, evolve your personal development to the degree where now it's not about you anymore, it's about them. And when you communicate at the highest levels, people don't feel like they're talking across from you or they're talking to you. They feel like they're talking and interacting with themselves almost. I always tell people the expression, you disappear when you're a high-level communicator. And that's awesome if you can get to that level, because when you do, now you have the ability to connect with people at a level and relate to everybody and have conversations and back and forth, and the ability to connect with anybody worldwide, regardless of language, personality types, culture, religion, race, all that stuff, because communication is its own monster and it is its own beast. And that's the beauty of it, y'all. That's the beauty of it. So I'll leave you here with that, right? Because we can talk all day about empathy, but for most people, that beginning, taking it personal, has to be handled. Then we have to take ourselves through the exercise of how can I recreate their state, their thought process, their emotional state, right? Their state of mind. And then moving forward, okay, how can I navigate and create more dialogues and solutions for these people to navigate these things and make sure that at the end of the day, because I can relate to them now, I can guide them to some sort of solution or, resolving of these emotions and getting them back to these extremes of either angry, sad, right, depressed, and back to like a normal state. All right, so that's it for this one, guys. If you need any help, reach out to us. You have all the links in the description. That's it for this episode. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.